All right, we are here with AJ. AJ is he is one of my teammates in the Comedy Sports Minor League. Isn't that right, AJ?
Yep, that is right, Christian.
And how's it going so far in the minor league? What do you think?
It's been interesting. It's been a lot of fun. Definitely am still kind of a little leery about how well Six Things will go in a live circumstance, but definitely feel a lot more confident about it now than those first few times we tried it. But that was going to be, that was probably, I think, the most fun and most rewarding when you're managing to communicate well or guess correctly. But it's the one that I'm probably most nervous about for when we actually do the matinee.
Yeah, so for the audience, Six Things is the hardest game in Comedy Sports, and damn right so. What you have to do is, it's a naive game, and by naive, it means one of your team members leaves the arena, so you get suggestions from the audience, and then we replace, for example, say basketball is the suggestion. You know, basketball, you have a basketball. Well, we take away the basketball and we replace it with something else like an ice cream bar. And the only way we can communicate that for the person, the guesser, is mime and gibberish, and it's very hard, but it's also very fun. So for me, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's definitely probably one of the most entertaining games to watch as an audience member as well.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. Because first time watching it, it just blows your mind.
It does. It's one of those games where you'll have a lot of moments from it that after the show is over, you're going to be talking with your friends outside and being like, how did they guess that? I can't believe it. Or something like, oh, it was really clever how they were able to communicate cheese by first starting with a cow and then working backwards from milk.
Yeah, it's one of those games that it's super difficult, but it's a lot of fun. And personally, yeah, it has been pretty challenging, but I feel like we now have the basics to, if we get challenged with something, we'll be able to, at least get close. And I think in a live situation, I think the fun part too is not getting it right. I think, because the fun part is when the audience, you're trying to guess volcano and you're trying to do it like they know that it's volcano, the guesser doesn't. So that's part of the fun too. So even if you get it wrong, it's still fun. It's still one of those games where you're like, oh, next time you'll be like, okay, I'll try something different. I feel like it's a game where you're always learning.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, AJ. So, how'd you find out about Comedy Sports in San Antonio?
Well, I had heard about it a few years back, pre-pandemic, because one of the women who now competes in it, she was in a digital marketing apprenticeship program that I went through, and she had mentioned it at some function or other. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And so I was wanting to go see the venue, see what it was like. But then COVID happened, so I kind of had to wait for things to open back up. And then when they did, I went and checked out the show, really enjoyed it, went to a few more shows and invited some friends along. And one thing led to another, and some friends were interested in doing the level 1 course, and I thought that also sounded fun. So one thing after that just kind of kept going, and now I'm in the minor league.
And now you're sucked in. We got you. We laid out the trap, and we knew you were coming in. Now, so you're a fan of comedy, right? Like, just in general? Would you say so?
Generally. I think probably what I would say is, in particular, I really enjoy wordplay.
Gotcha.
Which is also part of why Comedy Sports appealed to me, just with the closing game of the puns and everything.
Dude, yeah, I wanted to stay and hear all the Garth stuff that you guys were into, but I had to go. You have any good ones from Garth?
Oh, goodness. That's the bad thing, is that you go through so much material, even in practice, it's hard to actually remember and give them. I do remember one, not from practice, but from a show when I was doing pianist training. So the rule of Garth, just for your audience who may or may not be familiar with it, is that the audience gives a celebrity or sometimes a character name, and then the people on stage build a pun off of it. And it's called Garth because it's in reference to Wayne's World, where basically there's a scene in it that kind of they show the rules. The one from the show that I saw that really stuck with me was, if Austin Powers got lost, couldn't find his way out of a patch of daisies, well, then he'd be lost in flowers.
Oh man. Yeah, so Garth, you either replace both names if you got a really good one, or just one, and yeah, you try to make it sound the same, like Powers, Flowers. That works.
And then the one from the actual movie, I think, was if Abraham Lincoln was a really attractive woman, then he'd be Babraham Lincoln.
Oh man. Yeah, that game's a lot of fun. Yeah, so like I was interested too in comedy sports pre-pandemic, and then I auditioned right before the world shut down. We did virtual practices, and then so I'm glad we're finally, able to do everything in person. It feels great.
It's definitely been refreshing to get out of the apartment more often.
And I'm really glad you joined the team. I feel like you actually have fun with the games, especially with the word stuff. I know you're pretty good with those words and those puns, buddy.
Well, thanks. Although there's a lot of stuff that a lot of other people bring to the table as well. So it's been, there's a lot of nights where during practice, my brain's fried. I can't think of anything. So I'll just enjoy what other people are doing on stage, because got a number of punsters in the minor leagues. So it's a good time for me. It warms my heart. Yeah.
It's, man, I can't wait for all our team members to finally do a live show and, work out all the kinks and just have fun. I feel like, I don't know, this is a good minor league we got.
Yeah, that reminds me, I need to check out to see when all the other minor league performers are going, so I can hopefully make it to a number of those shows, because that'll be fun.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out a bunch of those. Alrighty, so let's see what else I can ask. You want to play Garth real quick?
Sure, I'm down for it.
All right, what's a celebrity? You have any in mind? What about Jackie Chan?
Sure, that's a good one.
All right, if Jackie Chan was a windmill, he'd be Jackie Fan.
If Jackie Chan were a computer expert, well, then he'd be Hacking Chan.
If Jackie Chan worked in the luggage industry, he'd be Packing Chan. If Jackie Chan ran 100 miles, he'd be Marathon Man.
If Jackie Chan got left out in the sun too long, he might become Tacky Chan.
Or also, too, if Jackie Chan got left out in the sun too long, he'd be Jackie Tan.
Or if Jackie Chan maybe got a little too much to drink, he might become Wacky Chan.
If Jackie Chan was a dessert, he'd be Jackie Flan. Let's do let's see, what's
just one more. If Jackie Chan were an 80s band, then he might be Jackie Duran Duran.
There it is. Yeah, man, I've been having a lot of fun. Let's see. So, would you say like doing improv comedy kind of helps you in certain ways that maybe hasn't before in your life? Maybe with like a little bit more confidence or just talking to people easier, would you say?
I think for me it's been a way to help keep some skills sharp. Just because, so when I was in my undergrad, I was in theater a lot, and so I had a way to exercise some of those skills.
Nice.
But then when I transitioned to the workforce, it was hard to find time and opportunity to continue to find outlets for exercising those kinds of skills. So that's been a lot. I mean, for me, it's just been nice to be able to be back in that kind of headspace again, really, because, I mean, I'm thankful for the trade that I have, but I don't really find number crunching to be all that innately rewarding, whereas stuff that's in, improv, stuff that's in theater, stuff that's kind of in the humanities, that has a greater innate value to me. So that's probably been the primary benefit I get, is just doing something that I more thoroughly enjoy.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was a theater kid as well, man. And I remember taking a long break, and then finally, just jumping back and learning this whole improv thing. It's been great. Like, plus you meet some really cool people that have the same interests. And you go to work, everyone's like not like, into joking around or puns or, well, rightly so, right? We don't work like at a fucking fireworks factory or something.
I tend to break out all of the dumb jokes even at work. So one way or another, my coworkers get exposed to it. I mean, that's how you test if you're gonna be working for a really good employer, right? Just make a lot of dumb jokes. If they tolerate it, all right, you're fine. Nothing to worry about. If they don't have the sense of humor to cope with what you're working on, well, it's probably not going to be a great gig.
It's like super quiet, right? And you're out of nowhere, you're like, if Jackie Chan worked 80 hours a week, he'd be working man or something like that. Awesome, man. Cool. Yeah, well, for me, I feel like improv has definitely helped me become a better listener. Especially, like, with my family and, like, my girlfriend and stuff. Because, like, when you're on stage, you have to remember your scene partner's name. I mean, it's hilarious when you don't, because you're like, you call him the wrong name, and he's like, hey, man, you call me the wrong name. But, like, that definitely drives a lot of scenes. So, like, especially in the live setting, when you're up next and, you have to help carry the scene or contribute to it, you got to pay attention to what's going on. So, for me, and I feel like in my life, it's, I actually try and listen when someone comes up to me or like a coworker says something. I try not to just, oh, yeah, or, you know what I mean? It's definitely helped me with my listening. Yeah, but I like to have fun. I love cracking people up anywhere I can, especially in practice. I try to loosen everybody up just by being me.
One of my favorite characters that you've done that I still just think about from time to time is the Hot Topic guy.
Oh, dude, that was a fun scene. Yeah, it's really fun to, like, I'm a big fan of all this, like, making characters, improv, the whole theater background. Like, I love that type of stuff. So anytime you can, like, bust out, like, a, certain character or, like, someone that talks a certain way or has certain quirks, it's even more fun.
For me, that's always a struggle. For whatever reason, I engage a lot with story, but I have a hard time really engaging with character. Not necessarily engaging, but understanding, like, how to bring about characterization or, like, come up with a character. Because usually when I present with that, my mind just kind of, like, blanks over and I have a hard time thinking of things. So sometimes, like, for me, actually the easiest things to, I guess, slip into tend to be just kind of oddball things. Like the other day I practiced when I was a spider. I was like, I don't know, I had a better idea for how to be this kind of zany, wacky spider as opposed to being people, but maybe that's just because when it comes to people, I overanalyze and kind of get caught up in, is this an actual realistic depiction of a human being?
Does the toothpick go in this tooth or that tooth? No, I think what helps me with characters is just, messing with my voice. I love doing voices, sometimes I do like a Skeletor. It is I, the mighty Skeletor, and I'm here with AJ. Have an evil day. So, and plus, like, the whole, like, me doing the fake radio thing, I love, like, me and my friends used to do that stuff all the time. Sometimes I would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I would be pumping iron all the time. I've got the documentary called Pumping Iron. I pumped so much iron You know, it was in my veins. So, I don't know. Making up characters on the spot is fun too. I don't know. You just never know where it goes, and I think that's the fun part too. But yeah, usually just physical movements. Like you can have a whole character where like your hands don't close, and that's the thing. Like and then you kind of have to justify, why don't your hands close? You'd be like, oh, I'm afraid. My hands don't. Like if they close, or you might walk a certain way. It's more than just like voices and also one I've really been trying to incorporate is train of thought or like beliefs. That's been a real tricky one, like finding out why you're like I'm doing a country character, but it's not more than the voice. It's more like I hate farming, something like that, like trying to like justify certain thoughts. That's been something I've been wanting to practice a lot more than just being like, hey, I'm the country guy, you know what I'm saying? Like that's fun too, but also like I had a rough childhood. Something like I try to add more depth to them has been fun for me.
That's really cool.
And every now and then I just come back with Skeletor. But that's always fun. So yeah, man, I've just been having a blast with minor league. Like every Tuesday I look forward to it. I always, the teachers are great. It's a fun environment, very positive environment. And I just like, meeting all the other players because I do all this stuff all the time. And it's really fun when, we get to like collaborate with each other and talk like this, like you and me right now. Like this stuff is fun.
Yeah. I really enjoy getting to see just kind of the different areas of life that people bring into their characters and into their scenes. And also just kind of the different strengths that people have. Like thinking of Ife, what I appreciate about all of her choices is that whatever choice she makes, she commits to it, like 110%, which is just phenomenal.
And that's what you got to do, man. You got to commit 110%. You got to commit 110%. Because if you don't, that audience, they'll be like, hey, they're not committing, Alrighty, AJ. I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about?
I'm just kind of curious because you had mentioned that you really enjoyed the characterization and recently trying to build on like beliefs and adding depth and stuff like that. Do you do any tabletop RPGs?
No, I do a lot of, me and my friends do a lot of improvised stories. Mm-hmm. So we'll come up with characters and be like, okay, so here's Arnold Schwarzenegger, but this is him trying to fix the ice cream machine. And then we just press record, and then whatever comes out of that, we usually upload or just keep it to ourselves. Like, I don't know, we've always enjoyed that type of thing. Recently, my best friends, they've been more busy having kids, and which is great, good for them. This is a chapter for their life. So me, I don't have kids, so I've been kind of missing that, having to chuckle with a buddy type thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the characterization stuff, for my level 1 class, I would do a lot of characters and whatnot. And the most notes I got were, try and find a train of thought for these characters instead of, just coming out and busting out a wacky character. Try to give them some depth, even if it's just for 1 minute or 2 minutes. So that for me has been something I've been wanting to practice, and I feel like it's going well. It's a lot harder when you got lights on you and people in front of you, but sometimes that's where you get some of the best stuff.
Or when you're thirding and you're standing on the side and you're simultaneously trying to think, okay, who can I be, and then also paying attention to the scene, see what's going on in there, what you can grab from it.
The third's, I like the third. I feel like the third is, it's an important role, but at the same time, you don't have to lay out the scene, but you have to. So at the same time, you kind of gotta, work into it something to come to a climax sometimes. But it's fun. Improv has so many different levels. It's just such a fun art form. I feel like it's pretty easy to get addicted to. AJ, I've been having a blast talking with you. I'm going to send you those suggestions and then let them kind of trickle into your brain for a little bit. And then after I take my girlfriend from work, or take her home from work, I'll call you again. How does that sound?
All right, sounds great. Good talking with you.
Sounds good. Later.
Bye.